Imagine a narrow strip of water, just 33 kilometers wide at its tightest point. Yet this small passage controls the fate of the global economy. Every day, millions of barrels of oil pass through it. If it closes, even for a few days, fuel prices could skyrocket, countries could panic, and the world could face an energy crisis. This is the story of the Strait of Hormuz, the most important and most dangerous shipping route on Earth. What is the Strait of Hormuz? The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway located between Iran to the north and Oman and the United Arab Emirates to the south. It connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and the open ocean beyond. Think of it like a gateway. Everything inside the Persian Gulf, oil from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, Qatar, and Iran, must pass through this single route to reach the rest of the world. At its narrowest point, the strait is only about 21 miles wide, with shipping lanes just 2 miles in each direction. That's barely enough space for massive oil tankers to pass safely. Why it matters so much. Now here's why this place is so powerful. Around 20% of the world's oil supply flows through this one strait. That's about 20 million barrels of oil every single day. And it's not just oil. Nearly 1/5 of global liquefied natural gas, LNG, also passes here. Countries in Asia, like China, India, Japan, and South Korea, depend heavily on this route for energy. If the Strait of Hormuz stops, oil can't leave the Gulf. Gas supplies shrink. Prices explode worldwide. And here's the scary part. There are very few alternative routes. Pipelines can only carry a small portion of the total supply, meaning the world is heavily dependent on this one narrow choke point. A history of tension. The Strait of Hormuz has always been tense. During the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, both sides attacked oil tankers in what became known as the Tanker War. Since then, Iran has repeatedly threatened to block the strait. Why? Because Iran controls the northern side of the passage, giving it strategic influence over global oil flow. Even today, military ships from different countries patrol the area, including the U.S. Navy, to ensure safe passage. This makes the Strait of Hormuz not just an economic hotspot, but one of the most militarized waterways in the world. The 2026 crisis. Fast forward to today. Tensions in the Middle East have once again brought the strait to the edge. Recent reports show that shipping traffic has dropped by as much as 95%. Around 20,000 seafarers are stranded. Global oil supply is under threat. This crisis is tied to rising conflict involving Iran and global powers. Iran has stated that the strait remains open, but only for certain ships. Meanwhile, other nations warn that any blockage could trigger serious military consequences, and as tensions rise, oil prices surge, supply chains weaken, and the entire world feels the pressure. Why the world is vulnerable. The Strait of Hormuz reveals a major weakness in the global system. The world depends on a single narrow route for energy, and when that route becomes unstable, everything is affected, from fuel prices, to electricity, to food supply. Yes, even food, because many Gulf countries rely on ships passing through the same waters to import essential goods. If the strait is disrupted long enough, it's not just an energy crisis, it becomes a global economic crisis. What happens if it closes? Let's imagine the worst-case scenario. If the Strait of Hormuz completely shuts down, oil prices could spike dramatically. Gasoline becomes more expensive worldwide. Airlines, shipping, and industries slow down. Countries scramble for alternative energy sources. Even a short disruption could cause chaos in global markets. And a long-term closure? That could push the world toward recession. So next time you hear about rising oil prices or tensions in the Middle East, Remember this: there is a narrow strip of water, quiet, strategic, and fragile, that holds the power to affect the entire world. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a place on the map. It is the lifeline of global energy, and as long as the world depends on it, it will remain one of the most dangerous choke points on Earth.